Hey everyone, so we're going to dive into Bitcoin as we have broken those key levels and we're moving into the weekly close, and I want to make you aware of some of the main scenarios that I'm looking out for on Bitcoin and the altcoins, and the main levels of where we might move to in the next week and the next few months, moving deeper into this bear market and accumulation phase. Now let me know as well down below with regards to what have you guys been doing? Have you guys been buying, selling? Do you think that we're going lower or going higher? Let me know down below in the comment section. That really interests me. I want to see what you guys are doing. And I'll also show you some of the altcoins that I have been buying at some cheaper prices and the buys that I got in. So stick around to the end of the video to follow those calls. Like the video if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit the bell notifications to keep up to date with my videos. That should help you keep up to date with time sensitive moves in the market. So without further ado, let's crack on. Now, a quick one on the bigger picture, okay, is that we spoke about, potentially moving into those mid $25,000 areas. That if we move there pretty quickly, then that does open up a higher probability for us to move a little bit lower later in the year, which would still be my base case scenario. However, I was definitely not convinced that 33k was the low, and that was not my contention whatsoever. You can go back into all my videos and that's what was my thinking, which turned out to be right. But although I think that we might move lower than 25k, I think that there is definitely a possibility that this could be a low, okay? Although I think that we still move lower. Basically, there's a much higher probability that this is going to be low than this was, in my opinion, because like I said, where's the liquidity? We literally, like I said, took this to the T. We said, where's the liquidity? Underneath 28, 29k, snag some cheap Bitcoin in these areas and then swing it back to the upside. That's basically how this works. And if you think about the narrative, how things have been playing out, if you've been getting caught up in the whole Luna situation and the whole Fed and interest rates, right? Like we said, this is basically all news for we already knew what was going to happen, because basically when we saw this bear flag, we knew that we're most likely to break to the downside. So that's basically why we reached there. Now we were looking at 24k as a potential target, and maybe we start to reaccumulate and dip into those levels, but my contention from this level is that we definitely bounce from here. And I said here at about that 28k when I did my video a little earlier in the week, that when we're at these levels, my base case scenario from here was that we move up higher, because there has been quite a lot of panic and fear in the market. We've broken this key level, and whenever Bitcoin moves about 200, whenever Bitcoin moves about 40 to 50% from its 200-day moving average, which we can see here, okay, which typically coincides with massive moves to the downside and capitulation events, we typically get some sort of reversion to the mean. Now, where can we potentially bounce to from here? There's definitely a few key areas that I would be looking out for, right? Now, I think that we've got a potential trend line over here of where we broke down from this head and shoulders pattern from 68k, okay? And I think that it would be quite likely that we might grind up higher and maybe test some of these levels at these trend lines as well, okay? And what was also at these trend lines is the key order blocks that we broke down from, which was 33k. I expect to see some resistance there if we get there, and then again at about 34k. But I think that the main area to look out for would be this area over here that we really broke down from, where we said if we broke 37k, we're expecting violent move to the downside. We got that. So if we retest this area, this is going to be really key, okay? In the same way, if we just get rid of some of these drawings, when we broke down from this level over here, okay, at about 46, 47k, when we retested this area for the first time, you can see that we got there, and then we basically moved back down and then started to create lower lows, and we took out these main lows, which could be something similar, okay, to what we might be looking at in the next few weeks. But like I said, I'm not expecting Bitcoin to just completely tank from here. We might move lower and reaccumulate down here and consolidate at these higher 20, 30k levels, or maybe even take out some of these lows and do something similar to what we did over here. But like I said, we want to be looking out for potential reversal patterns towards the bottom and extreme ends of price selling. So if we dial this down to some of the lower time frames as well, you can see that we're just starting to potentially get some of these inverted head and shoulders that we can see here, which is basically just potential bullish price action that we want to look out for, and we're just starting to finish this week a little bit stronger. I did think that we would finish this week on the weekly time frame with a massive wick to the downside, and you can see that there's actually quite a lot of buying pressure up here, because from the bottom up to where we are now, that's a 21% rejection of price to the downside, and again, that's why we said you don't want to be selling down here. I think that this is likely the start of the accumulation pattern for the next run, but it is going to be quite a complex and long process to go through. It's not just going to be a straight go straight to the moon from here, or we're going to go straight down from here. It's probably going to continue to frustrate, and eventually at some point, like maybe later in the year, I am expecting potential lower prices. Okay, but like I said, if we look at this on the 4 hour and 1 hour, if we just mark out some of those key levels that we're looking out for, which is potentially 37k, and over here at about 33k, I do expect us to test at least one of these levels, because just dialing this down to the 1 hour time frame, you can see that on an order block level, what are we doing? We basically had an impulse over here, okay, and then we basically came back down, created some market structure where we broke this on the hourly time frame, and this was our bullish order block to continuation for potential continuation to the upside. And you can see that if we just make this a little bit clearer, okay, if this is our bullish order block over here, we basically broke the high, come back down into here, okay, retested this area, and now we're basically looking to make higher highs still. So if we can continue this uptrend of maybe starting to create some higher highs here, retest some key areas and bounce over here, okay, then I am expecting us to tap into some of these 34 and 37k regions for Bitcoin. Remember, if you're getting some value from this video, please do go ahead and drop me a like down below. Hit the bell icon to keep up to date with all my videos. And remember, let me know down below. I want to know what you're doing and what you're doing with potential altcoins and Bitcoin. Are you holding Bitcoin? Are you holding altcoins? Let me know down below. Without further ado, let's crack on. Taking a quick look at the DXY, we spoke about Bitcoin making its move during the Dixie's parabolic move to the upside, and we did get a big move. Now, whether that's the move that ends up forming a bottom or a local bottom, that could be. But like I said, we were looking for this strength in the dollar to give us some sort of confluence with Bitcoin, and we got that. So the next levels that I would be looking out for here on the DXY is, like I said, somewhere in and around this $110 level, and if we get to this level, I would expect the DXY to start pausing. But the RSI is getting pretty overheated here for the DXY, but that doesn't mean that it can't push any higher. You can see that back in September 2014 we reached close to similar levels at about that 80 to 85 mark, and we just basically ended up loitering in and around this area before we consolidated and moved a little bit lower. So I do think that the DXY still has a little bit of room to go, but that doesn't mean that Bitcoin can't start to move up and correct at least reversion to the mean from this point. Now, I want to take a look at Ethereum and some of the other main indicators, which are going to help tell me that we're potentially moving to some kind of low in Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency cycle. And I am expecting Ethereum to potentially make lower lows from here, and I think once we start seeing Ethereum potentially break some of these lows at 1800, which has actually been holding pretty strong, actually stronger than Bitcoin, then that would tell me that we're maybe getting closer to a bottom, in my opinion. And I spoke about some of these key levels over here at maybe about $800 to $400 for Ether. So in the same way that towards the market cycle tops, we do begin to see money flow from Bitcoin into Ethereum and the mid caps, and then basically all of the meme coins and stuff start to gain a lot of traction. The reverse also has to happen as well. So when you start moving into a bear market, Ethereum should start to sort of sell off first, and then basically the last thing that will probably happen towards the end of the bear market is a lot of these, a lot of the junk in the space that basically has no relevance, and a lot of the altcoins that need to die and flush out. That's what will happen towards the end. So, all the stuff that is maybe like in the top you know, 50 to 100 or top, you know, 100 and below in terms of like market capitalization, I expect those coins to basically get pummeled into basically non-existence, so that all we're left with is, you know, a lot of the better projects like Ethereum, Polkadot, Chainlink, Bitcoin, all of these sort of stuff should survive in my opinion. But like I said, we want to see continued strength in Bitcoin, and if we have a look at the dominance as well, you can see that again we had a really strong week last week, and I am expecting 48% to break, at which point we might begin to see either Bitcoin make a little bit of a move either to the upside or capitulate to the downside. This move over here, breaking 48k, will coincide with one of those two things. A quick word on Bitcoin and the CME gaps. Now, we spoke about potentially tapping into some confluence over here, into this CME gap over here, which we've tapped into. We don't have to completely fill it, right? And maybe we do come back down into this area, but we have created a gap above us, which does give us a little bit more confluence at about that 37k level that we spoke about. So it's definitely a potential, if we just have a look at here on the 4-hour time frame, that you know, we might tap into here and you know, move into this space, which is, like I said, about 37,000, and maybe then we start to roll over, and that would also coincide with basically a lower high and a move back down to the downside. So that's another thing that I'm looking over here for Bitcoin. On the weekly chart, interestingly enough, another reason that I'm expecting not too much further selling from current levels is that we've actually had our 7th red week for Bitcoin in a row, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that might be the first time in history that we've put in 7 red weeks for Bitcoin in a row. So I would expect that to probably revert to a few green candles and at least consolidate at these levels. If you made it to the end of the video, massive thanks, and I'm now going to share with you a couple of the altcoins that I've bought into. The first one is Cardano, because I said if we reach this order block, I will look for buys, and I think I managed to buy in at about 44 cents for Cardano. So I have to practice what I preach, and although I'm not sure that this will be the ultimate low, and I'll see what I do with that position, I'm expecting a potential retest of about 70 cents there or thereabouts. We'll see how Bitcoin performs in the next few weeks, but again, I don't like, you know, massive parabolic moves and just these small pauses and consolidations in that. And like I said, we might end up tapping into 18 cents or so, but definitely a good buy area if you manage to take that, because at the minute you're sitting at an upside of about 36% or so. And the second one that I managed to buy into was Chainlink over here at $6.10, I believe. I didn't quite get the bottom over here, but I was looking at this order block over here, or this area to test into. So I did manage to buy in at about $6.10, somewhere over here. And again, these are massive actually wicks to the buying pressure, with these massive wicks to the downside, and if you manage to get anywhere at around $5.5 $6, you know, you're probably sitting pretty at about 30-40% even, if you manage to do that. So those are the two altcoins that I've been buying into, but I am looking to go BTC heavy, and these are smaller positions, and I'm going to see how the market reacts. So if you like that video and you want to follow my journey, like I said, drop me a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.